on 1059.com.
My. It really is good to be back with you. It's been too long. It's just been too long, and it's nobody's fault but mine. Glad to be back with you. It is a Reaction Monday, and here on the show, and there's plenty to react to. You got spring football. I've watched one spring football game this year, and the one that I've watched every snap of it from the radio booth. That was Mississippi State's spring game under Jeff Levy on Saturday. And so if you want to get into that, we can. Welcome in on this Monday. In the Bureau, the Farm Bureau Insurance Studio, Farm Bureau, go! With the home team, they are your home team at Farm Bureau Insurance, all across the great state of Mississippi. Your hometown heroes, that's your local Farm Bureau Insurance agents right here in the state of Mississippi. Now, I'm here, you're here, you can be a part of the show. Shout out everybody watching on the live stream on X / formerly Twitter. Hat tip, everybody on Facebook. What's up? If you're on YouTube, feel free to drop a comment right there, and we can get it in here. For example, the first comment here on the YouTube live stream from Kenny. Kenny says it was a great spring game for sure. It was. You know, it was entertaining, and I think the biggest reason is because they're well coached. I think that was the word that we used. They're more than competent. Offensively, they were really well coached, right? And so once they got it going, you enjoyed watching it. That's kind of how that works. And so we can kind of get into some of the breakdown on that. Also, y'all can text me, call me. Lots to get into. You got baseball results from the weekend. The last time that I was on the air with you, I was in the home, not home because you think of house, in the Jackson Farm Bureau Insurance Studio, sitting beside the one, the only Beaver. And that was a solid 2-hour show about wrestling. Not wrestling, but wrestling. Beaver, do you remember that far back, the last time we were on the air?
Vaguely.
I would agree with you. It's the best radio show we've done in a long time. I would agree with you on that. Solid 2 hours, nonstop, Beaver, wrestling. And there were hundreds of texts during 2 hours. We probably took a whole bunch of phone calls and couldn't get to the rest of them. It was a really fun show. I remembered it fondly. Have you thought about it any since then?
I have. It was much more enjoyable than breaking down, oh my God, when is Spencer Rattler going to go in the draft? What do we think? Third, fourth round.
Yeah. Well, and listen, I have loved sharing that story with people. And I have in a couple different, including a speaking engagement in the middle of last week, which was one of the reasons I was out, and a couple other things. But I told people, Beaver, I said, so I walk in the studio, our producer for the show, Beaver had changed up his facial hair. I take one look at him. I said, you know who you look like? And he says to me, I know what you're going to say. I said to you, really? What do you think I'm going to say? And your response, Beaver, was, I looked at myself in the mirror and I thought to myself, Matt Wyatt's going to look at me and say, you look like Captain Lou Albano. And that's exactly what I was going to say. I told that story. And then the next thing you know, we're looking up the top 15 list from the 1980s. The next thing you know, we had 2 solid hours. People calling in and remembering wrestlers that they used to watch when they were kids and all that kind of stuff. But here's partly why I bring that up, Beaver. I sent you a friendly reminder over the weekend, or maybe it was last week, to watch Nacho Libre.
Oh, now I remember, because when I saw that text, I didn't feel like it was a friendly reminder. It was downright telling me, watch Nacho Libre.
No,
like,
it wasn't.
I felt like there was a continuation, like the intent behind it was a ... or else.
No, I'm sorry, okay, for the miscommunication there. It was friendly. I want to try to, I'm just telling you, okay, Beaver, listen, I'm just telling you, all right? This is a guarantee. When you finish it, you must finish it. You must see the ending. When you finish that movie, you are going to thank me for suggesting it to you. I know you are. Didn't we qualify this one time before, too? And listen, we got football, baseball to get into, okay? I know we do. And we are going to. We have headlines coming up from 𝐌𝐢𝐬𝐬𝐢𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬 and the Bank of England Mortgage Company. That's all coming up. Beaver, didn't we qualify it one time? Because I started asking you questions, all right? The movie Saving Silverman. You enjoyed that movie?
Yeah.
All right. You enjoyed that. What about School of Rock with Jack Black?
Yep.
What about Orange County?
Yep.
Beaver, in the nicest way I can possibly say it, do yourself a favor and watch Nacho Libre. Hey, by the way, Beav, I was thinking about this last night. It's totally weird. Just as I thought about that, random thought. If someone like me has, say, an Amazon Prime account, okay, if I want to send you the gift of a movie on that app, like on Amazon Prime or something, am I able to do that digitally? Like buy it for you and send you a code or something?
Oh, now that I don't know.
Okay.
I know you can send people gift cards, but I don't know about stuff. Surely Amazon's got something figured out there.
Well, and Beaver, here's another question. If they haven't, why haven't they? Right? I mean, because back in the day, people like Jason, our friend Jason out in Flagstaff, he tried to encourage me to watch The Walking Dead. Well, he bought the DVD and sent it to me. See, like an old-fashioned mail, hard copy. Seems like now in 2024, if I want to buy you a movie, it ought to be as easy as buying it online, send you a code, you click it, you're watching it. Surely that's doable. I guess you'd have to have do you have Amazon Prime?
I do.
Okay, we're getting somewhere. I'm going to get you this movie.
Well, now, it used to be on there, because remember I told you I had started it, and I think it was on Prime.
Okay.
I think it was free.
Okay.
Now, they've been known to change their status to, y'all ain't getting this for free anymore. You're paying.
Yeah, right. As soon as you figure out there's a demand for something, it's like, how can we drive up the price? Right? And if it's free, how can we charge for this? Well, anyway, we're going to make this happen. We're going to make it happen. And I will say, for the record, before we get into headlines here, for the record, after the experience that we had last week, I am now considering, more than just slightly considering, I'm heavily considering a couple of things, Beaver. One is, I'm heavily considering a regular, maybe even daily, wrestling segment on this radio show. And the other thing I'm considering heavily is a deep dive, fun, approach it from a fun perspective, sort of documentary project on obscure wrestling history in the Deep South. Now, I'm sure there's been a million things done on like Lawler, but you think about those people last week called in, like Craig called in last week, and he's like, hey, you got to look up this one guy. He used to wrestle at the Coliseum in Jackson, and he named his opponents and everything. You look them up. They're just normal guys, big guys, had a job. One of them showed up at the Coliseum back 50 years ago. He put on a mask, and they wrestled. And then back to work on Monday. So anyway, heavily considering both things. And on that note, Jason in Flagstaff, Arizona, text the show, and the country pleasing text line. Dadgummit, I ran out of jalapeno and cheddar sausage. I ate the last of it this morning. And I meant to go slip out there and get some more. And I hadn't done that. I have to use the afternoon for that. But you can text me on the country pleasing text line. The number to text 885-3776. 601 number 885-3776. Another way to remember the text number, 885-ESPN. Jason texted the show and he said, yes, more wrestling. He says, you got to get Brandon Walker on. Hey, you know what? That's right. I forgot he's a big wrestling fan. And you said, I don't know if Brandon's still doing it or not, but he was hilarious when he was interviewing wrestlers. Brandon's just hilarious doing anything. The guy's just, he's above and beyond funny. It like comes natural to him. I don't know. It's something where does that come from? I don't know. Now, Ernest T is reminding Beaver here, says, Beav, Nacho Libre is a classic. It is must see. You will watch it over and over. See, that's the thing. He started it, but he didn't finish it. Okay, so if you finish it, you're going to love it. All right, and then Denzel gave us a heads up. He said, you can make the most of your Prime membership by sharing, this is Amazon Prime, by sharing delivery benefits, movies and TV shows, ebooks, and more with up to 6 people. All right, so that's doable. Got it? Nick said, Matt, I have a great idea. He says, instead of whiny little fake country singers that have temper tantrums on Broadway at our stadium, we could have WWF. Whoa. Why haven't they thought of that? I mean, look, it's pie in the sky. But you're saying instead of hosting concerts at your football or baseball stadium, host a wrestling match. I'm 100% behind it. I'm 100% behind it. All right, at this point, I'm flipping the switch, and I am now 100% behind. Headlines at the top of the hour. Here we go.
Good evening. I'm Ron Burgundy, and this is what's happening in your world.
Good evening, and welcome to Eyewitness News.
Here's what's making news.
Headlines brought to you by Bank of England Mortgage and Went McGee. The Mortgage Man. Find him online at mortgagemanms.com. Went's got locations not only in Ridgeland, but now in Starkville, Oxford, and in Tupelo as well. More on Went in just a bit. Headline 1, State had a spring game on Saturday. They had a weird scoring system it did make it interesting, put some points on the board. But the biggest thing is the offense moved the ball. Somebody texted me earlier, the way to describe their offense was discipline. I think that's right. Blake Shapen completed a high percentage of throws, 18 of 22, 3 touchdowns. Among all the quarterbacks, they threw 5 touchdowns, and there were no interceptions thrown. And they executed really cleanly. There were no penalties. Very vanilla on defense, as is everybody in the spring. It's just the way it is. More evaluation on that coming up. This weekend in SEC baseball, State swept Auburn in a shortened series because of weather. They played 2 7-inning games on Sunday, but State goes 3-0, gets a sweep at home. Really improves their SEC standing, and that's good because they got tough games coming up in the finishing stretch of the season. Ole Miss went to Georgia, and, they did what they had to do. You go on the road in the SEC to a ranked type of place and don't get swept, which Ole Miss didn't. They picked up 1 win. And so 1 win on the road at a good RPI place is decent enough. Okay, so by avoiding a sweep for Ole Miss on the road this weekend at Georgia, they did. That's fine. And again, I know they're still below 500 in SEC play. They're kind of separated from the teams at the top, but the RPI is in really good shape, and they still have a great chance to, in the closing month of the season, to make a run at that thing and be a postseason team, which is really all that matters, is getting in the postseason and playing your best right then. Around the rest of the SEC, Texas A&M took 2 out of 3 from Alabama. And I think I haven't looked at them, but I think somebody might have mentioned on X that A&M is the number 1 ranked team now. They have them number 1. Anyway, A&M took 2 out of 3 from Alabama. It was in Tuscaloosa. Vandy at home took 2 out of 3 from Florida. Interesting there, by the way, if you didn't see it. One of those games, the Vanderbilt pitcher was ejected from the ball game because of having a sticky substance all over his arm. And it was one of those deals where Florida's dugout complained about it. Umpires go take a look, eject the Vandy pitcher. Tennessee gave Kentucky its first SEC series loss. Tennessee went into Lexington and took 2 out of 3 from the Wildcats. A huge series win for Tennessee. Maybe they're catching their stride. everybody kind of felt like, at some point Kentucky would come back to earth, and they did a little bit this weekend. Arkansas went to South Carolina, took 2 out of 3, so the Razorbacks remain hot. And LSU went to Missouri, took 2 out of 3 there, and so good series win for LSU. So now that you have another weekend in the books, SEC baseball standings look like this. We'll go west, and then we'll go east. In the Western Division, Arkansas at the top, 14-4, 1 game ahead of Texas A&M at 13-5. In third in the West, 4 games back of Arkansas, 3 games back of Texas A&M is Mississippi State at 10-8. By virtue of sweeping Auburn, it gets State's SEC record up to 10-8, 2 games above 500. So in the West, those are the 3 teams that are above 500 in the league. Arkansas at 14-4, Texas A&M 13-5, State 10-8. Then you go to Alabama in 4th place at 7-11. 7-11, I get it. 1 game back of Alabama is Ole Miss at 6-12, LSU 5-13 on the league, and then Auburn at the bottom of the West and at the bottom of the league, just 2-16 this year in the SEC. So you go over to the East, Kentucky at the top there at 15-3, and they still have the best record in the Southeastern Conference at 15-3. They are 3 games in front of Tennessee, who is 12-6. So even though Tennessee wins the series in Lexington, because of the start that Kentucky got off to, they still have a 3-game lead in the division. Kentucky's at 15-3, Tennessee's 12-6, followed by Vandy at 10-8. Then Georgia and South Carolina both at 9-9 and even 500. Florida near the bottom of the East at 8-10, and Missouri's at the bottom of the East at 6-12. If you looked at the overall SEC, it's Kentucky 1, Arkansas 2, Texas A&M 3, Tennessee 4, and then at 5, Mississippi State and Vandy both tied at 10-8, and that's where it stands right now. Overall, with and schedules are different. States RPI is a little lower. Their schedule just hasn't been as tough as some of the others, and so to go into what's going to be a tough finishing stretch with a tougher schedule for State, 2 games above 500 in the SEC is a good thing. We'll take a closer look at who they play next and all that jazz. In the Sun Belt, Southern Miss, they took 2 out of 3 this past weekend from Louisiana Monroe, who's not a very good baseball team, but they're 6-12 in the Sun Belt. But going into Sunday, Southern Miss had a chance to sweep them because they won the first 2, couldn't get the win yesterday, but still win the series at home. So as it stands right now, after 18 games in the league in the Sun Belt, Southern Miss is 11-7, tied with Troy in the west of the Sun Belt at 11-7. But that is 4 games behind the Raging Cajuns, ULL, or the University of Louisiana, as they want you to call them, who are 15-3 right now in the Sun Belt. They're tearing it up. They got a really good baseball team, and they should have a pretty decent RPI. But ULL, they lead the Sun Belt handily, 31-11 overall, 15-3 in the Sun Belt. It's a winning percentage of .83, and so they're 4 games ahead of anybody in the Sun Belt right now. So Southern Miss and everybody else trying to catch them. Now Southern Miss would be in a 3-way tie at second, at number 2 in the Sun Belt right now. But from an RPI standpoint, I think Southern Miss is sitting in there at about 50-something after this weekend. Maybe it's down in the 60s. They're going to have some work to do. Let's see. Looks like they're at 51. Yeah, they're at 51. A strength of schedule of 67. So like I said, they're going to have to win a bunch of games if they want to get in the tournament this year. I mentioned ULL in the Sun Belt, who leads everybody by at least 4 games in that conference. And their RPI is sitting there at 44 and a strength of schedule of 119. How about that? So they are not, I take it back, they are not in great shape from an RPI standpoint. So those are your headlines from the weekend, brought to you by Bank of England Mortgage Company and Wimp McGee, the Mortgage Man. Find him online at mortgagemanms.com. Told you Went's got location in Ridgeland, but also in Starkville, Oxford, and in Tupelo now. And Bank of England has that program for first-time home buyers. It's still going. They have allocated up to $1.55 million as a special grant for first-time home buyers. So if you're a first-time home buyer, you can get up to $20,000 towards the purchase of your home from Bank of England Mortgage, okay? And you don't have to pay that back as long as you stay in the home for 5 years. Lots of programs like that, and you can just talk to Wimp. Kind of tell him where you are, what your situation is, let him figure out what's best for you. And the best thing about it is, look, I wouldn't be telling you this if I didn't believe it. Went's just the kind of guy you can trust him. You know, whatever your situation is, whatever your need is in terms of finding a home and getting it financed and getting in there, just talk to him. You know, give him 5 minutes, call him up, hit him up online, ask him the questions, and he's somebody you can trust. And that's really the most important thing you need to know. All right, over to the text line. And like I said, we're just getting started here on this Monday, Reaction Monday. We'll probably give it a minute or two, hit a break, come back, take a sip of coffee from High Point Roasters in New Albany, and then jump into the football conversation over the weekend. Tell you what I saw. Joe texted the show. He said he went to a WWF event years ago with a girl, and he'd never been into wrestling and will admit it was a heck of an event, and he had a great time. White Denzel says the Vanderbilt pitcher who was ejected was their Sunday guy, so he's out for 4 games, and their Saturday guy is hurt also. Really? Really, Denzel? Now that's some info for sure. All right. Kenny asked me which quarterback impressed me the most. We'll talk about that when we come back from State Spring Game and elsewhere. Just getting started on this Monday. Stick around. Y'all have heard me talk about Murray West and MurrayWest.com. They made the hat that I'm wearing. Got the Natchez Trace logo on it. I've told you a little bit about what they are. Contract embroidery company here in Mississippi. Started back in 1996, family owned. They do a phenomenal job, and I got to go visit their place up in New Albany. Let me show you a little bit about it. I say they do quality stuff. They really do. And so custom apparel, team stuff, I mean, really and truly, just about every high school in the state is sending their embroidered, team gear, jackets, shirts, hats, stuff. Baseball teams, football teams, they're sending it to the folks at Murray West in New Albany. You go to their website, MurrayWest.com, you go to the bottom, you can kind of see some of the Prairie Wildlife, Ole Miss Athletics, Gentile, others that they work with. Can't recommend them enough. If you need your logo printed, embroidered, sewn on to anything, custom apparel and other stuff, make sure you go there. Murray West, you can find them online. MurrayWest.com. That's MURRY West.com.
I'm Eddie Holcomb with Washington County Farm Bureau Insurance.
I'm Scott Rainwater with Farm Bureau Insurance here in Washington County.
I'm Blake Policini with Washington County Farm Bureau.
I'm Brian Street with Farm Bureau Insurance in Washington County, and we are your home team.
I think you know what time it is. It's time to eat. Country pleasing, jalapeno and cheddar, green onion. And no, it's not a grill, see that? But the fire is just about burnt down enough where it's time to put some of this on there. And the only decision when it comes to country pleasing sausage is which flavor, jalapeno and cheddar or maybe green onion. Both.
Break me off a piece of that.
Look at that. You know what that is? That's real green onion. Like that monkey who set his tail on a railroad track. It won't be long now. Country pleasing sausage, these flavors and many, many others.
Get them online at countrypleasing.com. At a grocery store near you, pretty much anywhere in the Southeast, walk up in there and say, Country Pleasing, please. And they'll know what you're talking about.
I was born and raised in Greenville. I've always called Greenville home. This is where I, was raised, went to high school, graduated high school, worked all my life here, leading up to going to college. So even when I moved from Greenville, I always told people, they asked me where you're from, I always said I'm from Greenville. I have mother, father, brother, niece, aunt, all live here in Greenville. So this is home. This is where I, live, and I've just always called it home. Small town, I feel like I could walk in any place tomorrow and know 2 to 3 people in there. It's small town. Someone's on the side of the road broken down. Hey, you need a boost, flat tire, you need help changing it. That's just kind of, what I love about this area. The blues and the food and everything that comes along with the Mississippi Delta that I love. I tell people all the time, my business cards have my cell phone number on them for a reason. Insurance doesn't happen from 8 to 5. When you need me, it's going to be after 5. It hardly ever happens where you have a wreck, get pulled.
God.
Yeah, Gene, that's what I was thinking. I was wondering, I knew state baseball had Vanderbilt on the schedule coming up soon. I didn't realize it was as soon as this weekend. Okay, but Gene says we're going to play, meaning state, going to play Vanderbilt up there in Nashville this weekend. And so that's what we were talking about. Denzel gave us the details, but I mentioned I had seen where one of Vanderbilt's pitchers got ejected from the ball game because the Florida dugout complained that he had sticky stuff all over his arm. The whole foreign substance deal adding to the baseball. Against the rules, and everybody goes, well, everybody does it. And maybe they do in varying degrees. But I guess there's this whole deal you're supposed to make an effort to hide it. Somebody then did, though, share video of a recent Florida game, home game for them, televised deal. Of course, everything's basically televised now with SEC Plus, right? Like you can watch every game, whether it's on the linear TV channel or not. It's like that's all the same thing now in 2024. It's all TV. Anyway, there was a relief pitcher in the bullpen for Florida. He's getting loose. You got the pitching coach in there. Television cuts to the mound. You can see the coach goes out there. He calls in the infield. They're talking, wasting a little time with the powwow just, during the pitching change to give him another throw or two. They cut back to the camera in the bullpen, and it showed the pitching coach coming over and squirting sunscreen all over the glove arm of the pitcher. And then the camera quickly cuts away. Here's the problem. It was a night game. And then here's that same Florida squad. They're calling the Vandy guy out. He's got something all like pine tar or something all over his arm, right? And so the umpire has to go check, and he checks, and they eject him from the game. But here's why it's significant, is Denzel says it was their Sunday starter for Vandy. So now he's out for 4 games. And their Saturday pitcher is hurt. And, it just makes you think, well, it could change the pitching situation up for Vandy enough to maybe help Mississippi State up there this weekend. But again, you look at State's record. What's more important, I think, right now, even more than their record, is their RPI. So playing 3 games at Vandy is the kind of thing that really helps your RPI, just playing them. But certainly if you can pick up 1 win. State does not have to go up there and win 2, win the series or something to help its RPI. Now, you go to Vandy and you do win the series, it sort of catapults your RPI, right? And then it's a week-to-week thing, but maybe it'll help State. Maybe it will. Gene, thanks for the comment. On the Country Pleasing text line, I want to file this away. Somebody texted the show. I don't know who this is from, but it said you need to contact Gil Culkin about Mississippi wrestling. He's from Vicksburg. His dad was George Culkin that wrestled with Jack Curtis. They're both from Vicksburg. Somebody, last week when we had the wrestling show, I'm saying wrestling on purpose, okay? Because it's not wrestling, it's wrestling. Somebody brought up Jack Curtis from Vicksburg. So there was a Mississippi Mid-South promoter. Gil still promotes in Mississippi and has written a book on Mississippi wrestling. Well, thanks for passing that along. I'm going to take the name down and look to maybe reach out. Jason, thanks for the link. Yeah, he's and Brandon's hilarious now. He's something else. He really is. Okay. Mentioned to you, I have seen one spring football game. I saw every snap of it. It was Mississippi State. It was on Saturday. We did a radio broadcast for it, and it's fun to watch. Defense kind of won the scrimmage in the first 2 series, maybe the first 3 series, and then the offense turned it on and started making big plays and went up and down the field. Kenny asked a question on YouTube. He said, which quarterback impressed you the most? For me, pretty easily, it was Blake Shapen. And, numbers, he was running with the ones. They really did rotate the defensive personnel. It was not like it didn't look to me anyway to always be a ones versus twos, like one offense versus two defense, two offense versus one defense. They kind of rotated them a little bit. They did some ones versus twos, just not exclusively throughout the scrimmage is the way it looked to me. So with that said, his numbers were really good. He threw it really well. He wasn't always up against a starting defense per se. And they rested some people. And defensively, there was like no such thing as a blitz package. Every now and then a pressure here, but it'd be like a 5. You know what I mean? 4 down and 4 down, 1 linebacker. That's not a true, sure enough blitz. It's not like they were jumping in man, 0 coverage and bringing the house and the banjo blitz coming off the hash. None of that kind of stuff. You just didn't see it. So defense kind of vanilla. And defense lost a lot, too, from a personnel standpoint. But so did offense. Anyway, back to your question. Yeah, he impressed me the most. And here's what impressed me about Shapen. One was the efficiency running the offense. Completion percentage, he goes 18 of 22, so whatever that is. As a team, all quarterbacks combined, by the time it was over, they'd played about 5 different guys. But obviously, Shapen and Parson took the majority of the snaps. But Shapen goes out there and throws for 82% on 22 pass attempts, and 3 of those go for touchdowns. He was accurate and quick on screens, which when they run that kind of jet screen out there, they have to catch it and get rid of it really quickly, and you cannot turn the receiver around. There's 3-step drop stuff built into it, and that's a really old term. It's just called it quick game or quick throws, because they're in the gun, so they're not taking 3 steps. You just catch it and throw it. In the old days of being under center, that was your 3-step drop. The quick slant, the 6-yard hitch, right? You get what I'm saying? A bunch of that. They threw hitches, they threw slants. He was really accurate on that stuff. And probably the most impressive thing about him was not just taking the deep ball when it was there, but hitting it. Y'all may remember differently. I haven't gone back and watched every play, but I only remember one deep ball on an open guy that he missed. And he missed him behind. The guy had a chance. He didn't overthrow it. He just ball just kind of flapped on him a little bit, so it came down late and behind a receiver, and DB's able to catch up and make a play on an open deep ball. If he puts it out in front, it may be TD. But the accuracy on the deep ball and then taking it. So, we've seen past offenses that didn't throw a ton of those, and, you would get them and not take them. When you did take the deep ball, your completion percentage was low. Man, they hit them. And when they got a chance, they took it. So I was impressed with the efficiency. So to me, he jumped out. I thought Parson did pretty well, but you can see he's behind Shapen. Overall, he's a better runner. They're the same exact size. They're both 6'1", 210. It's just Shapen, better arm, more accurate arm. Whole lot more experience and snaps and reps under his belt at this point in his career than what Chris Parson has. And Van Buren, he's just a skinny freshman. He's super talented. He is really talented. The kid that they signed out of high school out of Maryland. But he's still light. You know, they listed him at 195. I kind of doubt it. But he glides around, and he can forevermore throw it too, man. I know I don't have to talk to him. I haven't talked to him about it. You don't have to. You just know they're excited about him because he's a player and going to be. You could see it when he runs, man. He just glides around and smooth, and ball jumps out of his hand. More so than a lot of kids who come straight out of high school. The most impressive thing about the scrimmage overall was the speed with which the offense snapped the ball. I kept commenting on it, and we talked about it in the pregame. I was curious to see, because you hear about how they're going to be an up-tempo offense. You saw what they did at Oklahoma. Oklahoma, under Jeff Lebby, was top 4 in the country every year in terms of how fast they snapped the ball according to the play clock on each play, on average. See, so even when they slowed it down, they weren't really that slow at Oklahoma. It's just that when they had it in go mode, they were fast. And you're thinking, okay, you've had one spring, you've had 14, 15 practices, a few months to kind of put it all together, 1 month of practices, official practices. Even if you go fast, like how efficient are you going to be able to be with that short amount of time? This is really just still install, right? Well, man, I know that offense, like defense, was kind of vanilla, but they executed it. They were consistently, when they were in go mode, they were consistently snapping the next play with 35 seconds on the play clock. It's only 40. They start rolling the clock at 40. They'd snap it at 35, 34, 31 every now and then, 32, a bunch. So you're talking about wherever the play ended, however it ended, by the time you can get the ball to the official and he can put the ball on the field and he takes 2 steps away when they start the play clock, your offensive line's already lined up, take one look, boom, and we're snapping the ball, running the next play. And that's sort of like normal offense. And they would, listen, they would get back to the huddle when they would decide to huddle up and not go fast. You think, okay, they're slowing it down. They'd be back in the huddle, line up, running the next play. There's still 15 or 18 on the play clock. They not one time in all the plays they ran, which is 97 of them, not one time did they ever snap the ball with 2 seconds on the play clock. Never. They never let it get that far down. So being able to go that fast in your first spring, and it worked. And it actually, you had 1 pre-snap penalty, false start penalty the whole game. They're well coached. That offensive staff done a good job to this point. More on that, more of your comments coming up. In the Bureau, the Farm Bureau Insurance Studio. Stick around.
Now's the time to get a great deal on
Today's game from Tuscaloosa, Alabama.
Time was their breakfasts were gloomy. They just didn't feel right, and they didn't know a delicious cereal could help their sad plight. So they tried this and tried that, but irregularity kept coming back all the same. For as often the case, lack of bulk in their diet was actually to blame. Once at the grocer's, the wife was so drooping and sagging that a neighbor said, "Get on Kellogg's All-Bran wagon. Why, All-Bran has a flavor that's scrumptious to eat. So rich and nut-like, makes breakfast a treat. And of course, Kellogg's All-Bran can help you each day to youthful regularity, the dietary way." "Well, it might do some good," said the wife with a sigh. "Guess I'll get some All-Bran and give it a try." Soon, breakfasts at her house were happy and bright, for delicious Kellogg's All-Bran set their day off right. Yes, All-Bran supplies all the bulk in your diet, you see, that you may need for youthful regularity. And no half-brand cereal possibly can provide this help as surely as Kellogg's All-Bran. A delicious, non-habit-forming aid to your diet. You're sure to like All-Bran. Just buy it and try it.
Get on the Kellogg's All-Bran wagon with the best bran in the land. The cereal that tastes grand, the cereal that's all brand, a breakfast treat that can't be beat. Be a regular guy and climb aboard the all-bran wagon. Eat Kellogg's all-bran.
What is the secret of this enchanted book? What wonders are hidden within its pages? What magical spell does it cast on all who read it? What is the secret of the never-ending story?
But that's impossible!
You will enter a world where a young boy's imagination becomes a vivid reality. The world of Atreyu and Artax, the Rockbiter, and a good and kind gnome. A world that is vast and eternal, treacherous and dazzling, unforgettable and free. For anyone who's ever made a wish, believed in a fantasy, or had a dream, this is the never-ending story.
It's a new thing. It's a fun thing. It's a swing wing.
It's a what?
It's a swing wing. It's a wing wing. A brand new transparent fun thing.
It's a what?
It's a swing wing. A fun thing. And now it's your favorite store thing.
It's a what? Mazda announces some great news for truck buyers. Right now, you can beat the already
9 and worldwide at thezone1059.com.
All right, back with you. I'm Matt. In the Bureau, the Farm Bureau Insurance Studio. Farm Bureau, go! With the home team. They are your home team. Your hometown heroes. That's your local Farm Bureau insurance agents. Domingo on YouTube said, I'd like to see one of your film studies of the spring game. May be able to do that. It's really a time deal. I tell you what I'm thinking about, though, is if I do one on the spring game and post it on YouTube, part of it will be just watching in real time, a series of 5 or 6 plays here and there in a row to see how they operate with the clock. I think that's, again, it's one thing to know what to do in your first spring game, plays on schedule. I used to kind of point that out, that in something like a spring game or like in your early fall scrimmages, you want to see, like, people know what to do, okay, and the plays come off on time. It's great if you have a guy like Johnny Manziel who can run around off schedule and make stuff happen. Yeah, but you can't really count on that all the time. You want plays to go off on schedule, execute them the way we call them, the way we're supposed to run them. And it's one thing to do that in your spring game after a coaching change and you hadn't had all that many practices. It's another thing to be efficient. Everybody know what to do. You don't have a bunch of penalties. Everybody's in the right place. You don't have a bunch of missed assignments. You don't have mental errors. You don't have people going the wrong way. You have people lining up correctly. We don't have to do a bunch of stopping and coaching them up in your first spring game and do it going 100 miles an hour, snapping the ball with 35 seconds on the play clock. That's the thing that impressed me the most. You can just see, like, they are more than competent on offense. And with all the transfers, listen, y'all, that offense does not have a returning starter on it. Did we realize that? So for whatever that means for wins and losses in the fall, here's what I'm saying. There are no returning starters on offense. An all-new offensive staff outside of Chad Bumpus. And all these guys under Levy, they are competent. They know what they're doing. I mean, like, everywhere they've coached, they have this fast-paced offense that they move the ball and they figure out how to get deep shots, how to take them, how to get people open underneath, how to take that, how to run the zone to the right and the left and run it over and over again and still make yards with it and get defenses off. Like, they know how to do it, and they've come in here and installed it and run it and coached this bunch of, putting them all together. Some guys who've been on the team and others who transferred in, and ran them out there for a spring game, and they looked like a competent offense. Like, it was pretty sharp. They have coached their fannies off. Again, it doesn't matter. I mean, it only matters in the fall. But, my hat's off to them there. I was impressed with that. Steve commented, he's on Facebook. He said, we really pitched well this weekend, had some clutch hits, but it was a lot more difficult than it should have been. Yeah, I guess hindsight 2020, right? You were having 2 7-inning games yesterday, which probably really benefited State. Wouldn't you say? Yeah, I would. I'd say the 2 7 innings yesterday, given their bullpen and some of the series they've lost, probably benefit them play 2 7s. But again, hindsight, sending 𝐁𝐮𝐫𝐽𝐬𝐢 out there, 𝐁𝐮𝐫𝐽𝐬𝐢 out there for the 7th inning and getting well over 100 pitches backfired on you a little bit, right? In that one, you still managed to pull that one off. And a little bit different starting 𝐷𝐷𝐬𝐬 in that third game, and he was good, but once he got past you heard him say, well, this is his longest outing of the year. Well, yep, he started walking the ballpark. Like, what was it? Walk 3 in a row, walk the bases full with no outs in that, I think it was the 3rd inning. Again, you're able to have that late inning magic offensively, but you should have won the game in the 7th, right, Steve? I can't figure out what could possibly be happening that would be a tie game, bottom of the 7th, same as bottom of the 9th. Tie game, 3-3, you've tied it up. Winning run on second base with no outs. And we're going to maybe bunt him over to third. The bunt does not get put down. What could possibly be going on with a pinch runner going into the game, no outs? You represent the winning run, the walk-off run at second base that would lead you to go halfway in between second base and third base on a bunt attempt, the first pitch of the at-bat that he does not bunt. Was there any explanation for that? What could possibly have happened? The only way you could maybe explain it, that runner getting picked off at second base by the catcher, because you're trying to. The only thing would be is if he missed a sign, right? Like he thought he got a steal sign. I mean, he's a pinch runner. You told him what you were going to do before you left the dugout. What on earth is that? I mean, at any level of baseball, you can go find a competent, little league team, travel ball team, and the walk-off run at second base with no outs in the bottom of the 9th knows I'm getting bunted over, and if the bunt doesn't get down, I'm back on the base. What was that? What could possibly have happened right there? And you almost blew it, and thankfully you didn't. You figured out a way to win the game anyway. Hail State fan, he's on YouTube, on the YouTube live stream. He said, I thought this was funny. Coach Corbin at Vanderbilt declined to answer questions about a potential suspension for Thompson because he wished to contact the SEC office for further explanation. Yeah, it's pretty clear though, right? Like, what explanation? I mean, it's pretty clear. We decided to pop you for the foreign substance on your arm there, doctoring the baseball. And again, you go, yeah, well, others have done it. Yeah, but I mean, you kind of have to hide it, I guess. It can't just be right out in the open. Hey, but I'll tell you this much. Word travels fast if you're Florida. Apparently that came from the Florida dugout. We want you to check him. And, all right. That's the way it's going to be. Video pops up of Florida relief pitchers throwing his last pitch in a bullpen. The pitching coach comes over and squirts some substance, kind of looks like sunscreen, right, all over his glove arm just before he's going to come into the ball game. Guess what? It's a night game. So what I'm saying is, word travels. Florida, you better not have a guy with sunscreen smeared all over his arm at night. We're going to run the umpire out there for that. After this stunt this weekend, I guarantee you. There's a few text messages among these coaches and stuff floating around. Hello, Sven. He's on YouTube over in Germany. He said, good weekend for us. Sweep Auburn in the spring game was exciting to watch. Yeah, it was. A Hail State fan also pointing out that Florida's Jack 𝐁𝐫𝐦𝐬𝐢𝐬𝐢 home run streak ended. Tied for the record with 9. I have such a hard time saying 𝐁𝐫𝐫𝐦𝐬𝐬𝐢, even that's what they say on TV, even because there's an extra N in there. It looks like 𝐁𝐫𝐽𝐬𝐽, but I guess it's not. Andy on football commented. He said, and very much impressed with the first team offensive line. Looked 10 times more competent in one spring game than at any point last season. Listen, Andy, this is a true statement, a definitive true statement, and you're on to it. You know, the coaching and the design as it fits your personnel really does matter. The coaching, therefore the design of the offense as it relates to who you have running it, really makes a big difference. Because, here's the true statement. That offense that you saw from Mississippi State on Saturday in the spring game, with no returning starters and a bunch of transfers, is absolutely a better offense right now today in April of 24 than State's offense was at any point during the 2023 season. At any point. It's visible to anybody that's ever watched one football game, let alone us, me and you, Andy, who've watched a bunch. And, you know, I know comparing things to that deal last year is not saying a whole lot. But the point is the point. Jeff Lebby and his staff have had a few weeks and a few official practices, and, of course, the offseason and the weight room and everything else, with this group of players, a transfer quarterback. Well, 2 of your 3 quarterbacks are newcomers. A brand new transfer left tackle, a transfer center, a transfer guard, a transfer wideout, another transfer wideout, freshman wideout. They've had a few weeks and a few practices with those guys. And their offense today on April the 22nd would run absolute circles around anything that team put on the field last year. Now, whether you win any games, I don't know. It takes a whole lot more than a competent offense to win games. But the truth is the truth. And hour 1 is in the books, and hour 2 is coming up right after this. Y'all feel free to text me on the Country Pleasing text line. That Davini Equipment phone line is wide open. Numbers coming up in the Farm Bureau Insurance Studio. I'm Matt. Stick around.
Wished for one product that would clean and shine almost everything in your house? Here it is. Clean and Shine. Like magic, Clean and Shine leaves a nice shine on fine wood furniture, so you don't need furniture polish. It cleans and shines mirrors, so you don't need glass cleaner for mirrors. It cleans and shines refrigerators, like this kitchen product. Even countertops, tile, and vinyl. Try new Clean and Shine, the foam that cleans and shines almost everything in your house.
Someday when people look at me, they'll say, there goes Roy Hobbs, the best there ever was.
TriStar Pictures presents Robert Redford in The Natural, the story of a father and a son.
You got a gift, Roy, but it's not enough.
Of love.
He means the world to me.
And desire.
I'm not waiting for true love to come along, Roy.
A champion.
Roy Hobbs comes along once, maybe twice in everybody's lifetime.
And his destiny.
With or without the records. they'll remember you.
Best there is now, and best there ever will be.
I wouldn't bet against me.
I already have.
Robert Redford, Robert Duvall, Glenn Close, Kim Basinger, Wilford Brimley, Barbara Hershey, Robert Prosky, and Richard Farnsworth as Red. The Natural.
You know me. Would you believe I'm Bugs Bunny? I'm also the voice of many other cartoon characters. But in here, they don't care if I'm Elmer Fudd. So I carry an American Express card, the one card I need for travel and entertaining, for business and pleasure. Why, without this, the only way I'd get any attention is by saying, that's all, folks.
To apply for a card, call 800-528-8000.
The American Express card. Don't leave home without it.
The following is a presentation of TBS Sports. Exclusively on Superstation TBS. Superstation TBS presents the Atlanta Braves, America's team. Atlanta Braves baseball is brought to you by Budweiser. Beechwood aged for that distinctively clean, crisp taste that makes Budweiser the king of beers. This Bud's for you. By the official airline of the Atlanta Braves, Delta. We love to fly, and it shows. And by Eckerd Drugs, America's family drugstore.
If a man you've never met before suddenly gives you flowers, that's elation. The exciting new fragrance from Impulse.
Thursday, it's Cosby starting off a night of family fun. And leave it to Family Ties to keep the laughs coming.
Oh, no. What are they going to do? Everything's under control.
Then on Cheers, will Norm fink on a friend to get a promotion?
Yes, yes.
And the fun continues with Night Court.
I'm here to strip for Dan Fielding.
Thursday.
Oh, what a meal, oh.
Hamburger Helper Lasagna.
For your family.
Authentic Italian taste.
Hearty robusto. But not too spicy, eh?
Hamburger Helper Lasagna turns your plain hamburger into a delicious Italian meal with authentic Italian taste. Curly Italian noodles, rich tomato sauce, and a better blend of spices.
Hamburger Helper. Lasagna.
Helper, Hamburger Helper.
Make a great meal, oh.
I was born and raised in Greenville. I've always called Greenville home. This is where I, was raised, went to high school, graduated high school, worked all my life here leading up to going to college. So even when I moved from Greenville, I always told people, they asked me where you're from, I always said I'm from Greenville. I have mother, father, brother, niece, aunt, all live here in Greenville. So this is home. This is where I, live, and I've just always called it home. Small town, I feel like I could walk in any place tomorrow and know 2 to 3 people in there. It's small town, someone's on the side of the road broken down, hey, you need a boost, flat tire, you need help changing it. You know, that's just kind of, you know, what I love about this area, the blues and the food and everything.
1059 and worldwide.
Now,
here we go. At the zone, 1059.com.
All right, back with you. I'm Matt in the Bureau, the Farm Bureau Insurance Studio. Farm Bureau, go! With the home team. They are your home team at Farm Bureau Insurance all across the great state of Mississippi. Your hometown heroes at your local Farm Bureau Insurance agents. Hour 2 of the show has begun. Now, I'm here, but more importantly, Beaver's here, and therefore you can hear us. Whether you're listening on the radio or listening to the live stream, maybe at the zone1059.com. You can always look that up. Also, hey to you. Tip of the cap out there on streaming land on Facebook, YouTube, X, formerly Twitter. Feel free to drop a comment. We'll pop it up on the screen right there. You can be a part of the show that way. This is the live show here on this Monday. And the phone line's open to you. Give me a call on the Divinity Equipment phone line. The number to call, 897-1059. Got it? 897-1059. Call me there. 601 number. Divinity Equipment, Madison and in Jackson. Your Kubota dealer. They are the oldest Kubota dealer in the U.S. It means they've been doing it better, longer than anybody right here at home at Divinity. Text me on the Country Pleasing text line. Number to text, 885-3776. Another way to remember the number, 885-ESPN. You text that number, we get it. Speaking of, I got a text. Some of you are going to know exactly what we're talking about here. Got a text from MSU 1980 who, along with a picture, gave us an update on somebody that people have been asking a question about. You know, over the last couple of years, if you watched a Mississippi State game, baseball game on TV, you saw a man sitting behind home plate in the first row of seats back there with a cowboy hat on. He was always there. Well, MSU 1980 said, Matt, have you noticed that the guy that always sits behind home plate with the cowboy hat on has been missing lately? He said, I found out this morning that his name is Ronnie Braswell, and his wife said that he's going to have some foot surgery, or he had some lately, and that's why he's not been able to be at the baseball games. And MSU 1980 said, I've been concerned about him because he's always been there. And it's interesting how state fans do. Yeah, he's been right there behind home plate, and he's not been there lately, and it's good to know that he's going to be all right. He's just recovering from a little foot surgery, and he'll probably be back there behind home plate just as soon as he can be. And I know Mr. Ronnie and have met him and seen him over the years, and he's just as nice as a guy as you would think that he is. And so if anybody's listening knows him, tell him we wished him luck. We wished him get well soon. He wasn't back there, and people want to know why. MSU 1980 found out, and we're going to pray for safe healing and fast healing and be back there at the ball game soon. And I really do appreciate that, MSU 1980. Thank you. So if you want to be like him and text me on the Country Pleasing text line, I hope you'll do that. Just shoot it on over. Number to text, 885-3776. Country Pleasing sausage on grocery store shelves all around the Southeast. It is the best sausage, hands down, my opinion. And I ran out of jalapeno and cheddar this morning. I finished it. I could go for some of that black pepper and cheddar. Whew. It's good now. Yeah, I may have to look for some of that. I think I have some original, and I have not tried it yet. I'm going to break it out. I've got some in the freezer, some of that habanero. It's habanero and pork, I believe. Or is it habanero and cheddar? I mean, it's obviously pork. But I don't know. But it's got habanero in there, which is hotter than jalapeno. And so I may be trying that soon. See if I can get a real sweat going. Heck, it's been cool enough the last few days. I needed it. A couple of days ago, one morning early, I got up and went to the driving range at the golf course to hit golf balls and was genuinely cold. I got, sure enough, cold. So I could have used some heating up. All right, listen, two things. One, Headlines are coming up. Brought to you by Went McGee. The Mortgage Man. Find him online at mortgagemanms.com. So headlines are coming up. I have something else, too, I want to put on you that you may or may not have heard about. Honestly, I don't know how this popped up on my – because I wasn't even searching NIL, but I was searching something else about Mississippi on X. I don't do a lot of following, but sometimes I'll search certain terms. I was searching Mississippi. This popped up that could be changing in Mississippi as it relates to what they are calling NIL, which we know really isn't NIL. But I found it interesting because I didn't know about it. And if it changes, it'll be a significant change. And I'll pass along to you what I read and see if you know about that. It's one of those where I promise it's not boring. Like all the other NIL stuff. I promise this ain't boring. Okay, so that's coming up later in hour 2 as well. But first, let's head over to the aforementioned Divini Equipment phone line. Divini Equipment, Madison, Highway 51, Jackson on Spring Ridge Road. Your Kubota dealer. On line 1 of the Divini phone is Rooster after a successful weekend for Mississippi State baseball. Rooster, thanks for the call. What's up?
Well, yeah, let's stick to baseball. Let's don't get into football.
All right.
Just don't make it the Rooster show, you know?
Okay.
But listen, I Googled Captain Lou. I just spoke to Beaver. I can't believe that you think he looks like Captain Lou.
Well, his beard did.
That ain't a compliment. Holy cow.
His beard was great. He used to put rubber bands around it. Captain Lou Albano's beard was iconic. Now, whether he was handsome or not, that's not the point.
Oh, yeah. He's not with us. I got to Google it. I didn't remember him. But anyway. Yeah, baseball, they've already surpassed last season. They won. Their home record is 20-7, so they've surpassed last season already. And it looks like, you know, with 10 wins, that they got a shot at being at least 15-15 in the SEC, so Lamonis keeps his job. But he can't coach. Nope, he sure can't. Had Rooster been in the dugout, they would have won half of those 1-1 games.
Really?
Bases loaded, you got a slugger at the plate, you walk in a run. That's a no-brainer.
Okay.
Everybody knows that. You walk the run in.
Okay, but hold on. I'm just devil's advocate here, Rooster. What I'm saying is coaching is a whole lot more than just making a decision every now and then. So just so we know, I mean, a lot more goes into it.
Yes, I agree with you. I don't want to fire the guy. I mean, it hadn't been for him, they wouldn't have Hunter Hines, Dakota Jordan,
that's right.
Tysack.
That's right.
Marshawn, you wouldn't have those guys. I mean, some of he's the one the reason they're there.
That's right.
But the Duty Noble Field and the patrons of Occidental County deserve better. They deserve a winner. And I'm not willing to fire him, no. If he doesn't make the NCAA regionals, I'll be shocked. Because they look like they're going to be 15-15.
Yeah.
Are they a College World Series team? No. That's what I said last year. You got to go out and get a closer. You got to get somebody who can get you 3 outs. Probably 6'5", left-handed. You know, that's what you need. Or Dakota Hudson. They don't have one. And I don't want to mention Nate Doan because apparently he's done for the year.
Yeah. Well, there are a lot of teams that don't have a Dakota Hudson now, to be fair. But I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying as far as like major need. If you had a slam door first 2-round closer on this team, their record is much different. That is true. That is true.
Of course. Or somebody else coaching. Because he threw away half of those 1-run losses. Threw them away. And again, bases loaded, you walk or run in. You got a guy that hits home runs. You don't pitch to him. What'd you rather have, 1-run scored or 4? Walk the run in. You cover your rear end.
That's hard to
go by.
Yeah, but it ain't like you're pitching to Barry Bonds, is it? I mean, if it's Barry Bonds up there, okay, walk the run in. But surely we can try. Maybe we are just cautious, but surely we can try to maybe nibble and see.
Every team has 1 or 2 guys. Every team in the SEC, every team on their schedule has 1 or 2 guys that you don't pitch to with guys on base.
I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that.
Well, hey, how about the home runs that he hit? Or off the wall? The proof is in the pudding, as they say, because that's what happens.
Okay.
You don't pitch to him.
Okay.
Or if you do, you pitch very, very, very carefully.
Well, okay.
Can't give anything he hit.
Here's what I say. here's what I would say. Right now, I could say like Brent Rooker in 2017 walked running. This kid at Georgia, Charlie Condon, okay, maybe you can't pitch to him. But there ain't a whole lot of other guys that I would avoid to that degree. Like bases juiced.
Oh, listen,
I ain't walking or running.
Four that I wouldn't pitch to. I wouldn't pitch to Dakota Jordan with the bases loaded. Hunter.
Hold on, Rooster. Now you can't be saying this. Surely you're not saying that every time Dakota Jordan comes to bat with the bases loaded, you'd walk a run in as opposed to pitch to him.
That's exactly what I'm saying. If
I don't get it.
If I've got a 3-run lead, yeah. Because one swing of the bat, then that lead is gone.
Well, but see, it's not like that. It's not like, but if you do that, well, but here's the thing.
I'm playing to win the game. I'm not taking any chances.
But see, every team that's got a hitter like this, so you're using Dakota Jordan as an example, or Charlie Condon at Georgia, every team puts their next best hitter right behind that guy. So you go walk one in and then pitch to the next guy. And it's only a margin. There is a margin there. I think that's just why you see it in bases loaded situations now. It's just hard to put my head around the idea of it. It would just have to be a really unique situation for me to intentionally walk runs in.
Something else we haven't mentioned.
What?
Which echoes my sentiment. Mississippi State doesn't have any pitching. It ain't there. So you're pitching to that guy. I mean, sure, he's not Barry Bonds, but they're using aluminum bats. They ain't using wood. They're using aluminum bats. And you're throwing to a guy, I mean, if he throws a 95-mile fastball according to the plate, that's odd. You don't see much of that. They throw up a lot of gifts, what I'm saying.
Rooster.
A lot of pitches that they throw that they can knock out of the park.
Rooster, I like you. You know I like you, and you know I appreciate your call. I always do. Sometimes I do feel like you would argue with a wooden bat. Anybody ever told you that?
Yes, a lot. Yeah, I get that a bunch, and that's true. Yeah. Oh, you guys argue.
Okay.
I agree with that.
All right.
But the facts are the facts. But I'm excited about the fact that they're going to go to the NCAA. They'll make it, no question.
Yeah.
I would like to see them do better, and they're just missing all they're missing is a closer. That's it. Our closer.
Well, send in your money. They can go buy one. Send them a big donation.
I want to be in Omaha. I've been there. I started going to Omaha back in the 70s.
Hey, Rooster, there are literally no transfer rules that would keep you from going and buying a closer mid-season. You could absolutely do it. A player could transfer right now in the middle of the year and go play for somebody according to the most recent update on transfer rules in the NCAA. So maybe they ought to do that.
I wasn't aware of that.
Yeah.
I wasn't aware of that.
Find you one and buy him a car and see if he'll come pitch for a month. Who knows? Hey, Rooster.
I got one in mind, but what about JUCO guy? Would they qualify?
Well, yeah, I guess it would. I
don't know. There's a JUCO guy.
Yeah.
I'll look into that. Thank you.
Okay, look into it. You find it. Call him and ask him what he wants, and we'll let everybody know on the radio how much money he needs. How about that?
They play tomorrow night in Memphis, right?
Somewhere. And then they go to Vandy this weekend. Yep.
Yeah, it's Memphis tomorrow night. So they got the whole week in Tennessee.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. The whole week.
But listen, I apologize. I said I wasn't going to talk about anything but baseball, but I still made it into the week.
That's okay.
I apologize.
Okay. That's all right.
Too long-winded. God bless.
God bless you. Appreciate the call. That's all right. As long as it's interesting. Thanks for the call, Rooster. Yeah, as long as it's interesting, we're good. Yeah, he does. He does, Joseph. Joseph commented on Facebook, said, Rooster doesn't let you talk. Yeah, he does. We always. And every now and then he gets stuck on something like that. But that's okay. You can't always just because a good hitter comes to the plate with the bases loaded, you can't always just walk a run in and go to the next guy. It's got to be a really, really unique situation. Tiger Bait texted the show during that and said, I'm losing IQ points. Listen to this. Y'all be nice. Be nice. Okay? All right, headlines. Here we go.
Good evening. I'm Ron Burgundy, and this is what's happening in your world.
Good evening, and welcome to Eyewitness News.
Here's what's making news.
Headlines brought to you by Bank of England Mortgage and �WINT The Mortgage Man. Find him online at mortgagemanms.com. Blake Shapen, 18 of 22. That's 82% completions, 300 yards, 3 TDs, no picks. Had a 60-yard completion on a bomb. Parson goes 7 of 13, much lower percentage, 2 touchdowns, no picks. Had a 65-yard bomb. They had 700 yards of offense in the spring game. That's Mississippi State for those listening who don't know who I was talking about. SEC baseball results over the weekend. State sweeps Auburn at home. Ole Miss picked up 1 win at Georgia. Georgia won the series. Vandy took 2 out of 3 from Florida. A&M went to Tuscaloosa, took 2 out of 3 from the Tide. The Vols of Tennessee gave Kentucky their first SEC series loss. It was in Lexington. Tennessee takes 2 out of 3. Arkansas wins 2 of 3 against South Carolina in Columbia. And LSU went on the road to Missouri and took 2 out of 3. So those are your SEC results this weekend. Southern Miss 2 out of 3 at home against Louisiana Monroe. And they are tied for second place right now with 2 other teams in the Sun Belt. So after the weekend's action, Mississippi State right now in 3rd place in the West at 10-8. Ole Miss right now in 5th place in the West at 6-12. And so the sweep helped State to get 2 games above 500. Tough schedule ahead. They've got teams like Vandy and Arkansas still left on the schedule. And so the schedule's going to pick up. And if you can win, not get swept, and win series at home, their RPI can help them for sure. Okay, listen, those are your headlines brought to you by Went McGee, the mortgage man. Find him online at mortgagemanms.com. Junior 49, he texts the show in the Country Pleasing text line. He said, Rooster's got a screw loose. Well, I got the point that he was making. The deal of pitching to certain people and State needing some pitching. It's just maybe he took it further than most of us would. To a greater degree, he thinks they need pitching. Boomer Sooner texted the show and said Dakota Jordan has 148 at-bats and 15 home runs on the season. Why would you walk him? Yeah, he's not having a Brent Rooker or a Charlie Condon type of year, is he? The deal is, though, that there for a period of time, and he was dialed in, and he was so hard to pitch to because he was hitting home runs opposite field. A guy with that kind of power, hitting 450-foot home runs to dead center, just flip of the bat, hitting off-speed stuff. Get an 80-mile-an-hour slider and hit it out to center field, and hitting home runs opposite field. But he's kind of cooled off here lately. Magic Mike, he texted the show about Vanderbilt's pitcher having the sticky substance and getting ejected from the ball game. He said, Matt, Vanderbilt's pitcher's just got an NIL deal with Dippity Doo. A little dab will do you. That's great. I needed a laugh, Mike. I appreciate that. Real unnamed texter said Rooster didn't see the Central Arkansas game, walked Mershon to get to Dakota and Hines and struck them both out. Sure did. And that was one of those you felt certain it was about to happen, and it didn't. It is another play on words, and I like it. Louvier texted the show and said Rooster's new state flag is all white. He surrenders. He's just going to surrender. Walk him in. That's just, you can't give away runs. You got to make them at least earn it. At least you can shake their hand and congratulate them after the game if they earn the runs, right? Yeah, but that's, we hadn't talked about that. Annabeth has a problem with the fact that in baseball, the opposing teams don't shake hands. Basketball, they meet midcourt, shake hands. Football, go to the 50-yard line, shake hands. Both teams. Baseball, nope. We don't shake hands. We just go, our team, the winning team, we go out there and shake each other's hand. The other guys stay in the dugout. Like, what is that? Where did that come from and when did that start? You know, are baseball players more hot-headed than others? You worried about a fight? What is the deal? All right, listen, let me give you some info, and then I'm going to decipher it when we come back. You've heard me mention before this guy named Mitt Winter. He's a former NCAA athlete. I think he played basketball years ago. Anyway, he's a sports agent and a lawyer out there now, and he covers a lot of this NIL stuff. And he apparently, he did mention Mississippi in one of his posts on X recently, because I searched Mississippi for something, it popped up. Now, I didn't know this, but listen to what it said. This was only a day or so ago. He said Nebraska joined Virginia and Mississippi in enacting a bill to amend its NIL law this week. And apparently in Nebraska, it went into effect immediately. And then he said, like the Mississippi law, it allows schools to create, enable, and support NIL activities and third parties to pay NIL money to athletes for promoting their school and games. So I didn't know, I don't know if you knew this, but I had no clue that Mississippi was enacting any bill about NIL at all. I had no clue about it. And I certainly didn't know that the Mississippi law, supposedly according to this guy, lets schools give money to third parties to give to athletes to promote games and promote the school, as in kind of like marketing. So I may have some info, and it might be something that could potentially be a little bit of a game changer in the state of Mississippi if that's the case. I'll give you the details when we come back. In the Bureau, stick around.
Now's the time to get a great deal on proven Kubota farming equipment. Tractors that are adaptable, versatile.
Have you ever wished for one product that would clean and shine almost everything in your house? Here it is, Clean and Shine. Like magic, Clean and Shine leaves a nice shine on fine wood furniture, so you don't need furniture polish. It cleans and shines mirrors, so you don't need glass cleaner for mirrors. It cleans and shines refrigerators, like this kitchen product. Even countertops, tile, and vinyl. Try new Clean and Shine, the foam that cleans and shines almost everything in your house.
Someday when people look at me, they'll say, there goes Roy Hobbs, the best there ever was.
TriStar Pictures presents Robert Redford in The Natural, the story of a father and a son.
You got a gift, Roy, but it's not enough.
Of love.
He means the world to me.
And desire.
I'm not waiting for true love to come along, Roy.
A champion.
Roy Hobbs comes along once, maybe twice in everybody's lifetime.
And his destiny.
With or without the records, they'll remember you.
Best there is now, and best there ever will be.
I wouldn't bet against me.
I already have.
Robert Redford, Robert Duvall, Glenn Close, Kim Basinger, Wilford Brimley, Barbara Hershey, Robert Prosky, and Richard Farnsworth as Red. The Natural.
Do you know me? Would you believe I'm Bugs Bunny? I'm also the voice of many other cartoon characters. But in here, they don't care if I'm Elmer Fudd. So I carry an American Express card, the one card I need for travel and entertaining, for business and pleasure. Why, without this, the only way I'd get any attention is by saying, that's all, folks.
To apply for a card, call 800-528-8000.
The American Express card. Don't leave home without it.
The following is a presentation of TBS Sports. Exclusively on Superstation TBS. Superstation TBS presents the Atlanta Braves, America's team. Atlanta Braves baseball is brought to you by Budweiser. Beechwood aged for that distinctively clean, crisp taste that makes Budweiser the king of beers. This Bud's for you. By the official airline of the Atlanta Braves, Delta. We love to fly, and it shows. And by Eckerd Drugs, America's family drugstore.
If a man you've never met before suddenly gives you flowers, that's elation. The exciting new fragrance from Impulse. Thursday, it's Cosby starting off a night of family fun. And leave it to family ties to keep the laughs coming.
Oh, no. What are we going to do?
Everything's under control.
Then on Cheers, will Norm fink on a friend to get a promotion?
Yes, yes.
And the fun continues with Night Court.
I'm here to strip for Dan Fielding.
Thursday.
Oh, what a meal, oh,
Hamburger helper lasagna.
for your family.
Authentic Italian taste.
Hearty robusto, but not too spicy, eh?
Hamburger helper lasagna turns your plain hamburger into a delicious Italian meal with authentic.
All right, back with you. I'm Matt in the Bureau. So everything's open to you. Feel free to drop a comment here on the live stream. If you're watching on Facebook, YouTube, or X/Twitter, feel free to drop a comment. We can pop it in there. Steve and I were talking about base, running and issues and things. Steve commented on Facebook, said, "You're right. We've made too many base running mistakes this year. Walking off base, not knowing the situation." And what was that, the Georgia series when that happened? Or was it the Ole Miss series when that happened? But yeah, runners at second and third, you get a walk to load the bases, but the runner at third thinks the bases are loaded, like loses his mind for a minute, and he starts home like he's just going to walk in. Well, they throw him out. And it just can't happen. State sweeps Auburn. Okay, they get the sweep. But what happened running the bases last night in the seventh inning of that game? They had already tied it up 3-3 in the seventh, so you're at least going to continue the game. But you had the winning run, the walk-off run at second base with no outs. You go up there like you're going to bunt him over, but you bunt and miss or don't, whatever it is. And the runner at second just takes off. Like, where's he going? Basic base running. Like, don't we need to see the bunt down before we take off? What are we doing? You're really fortunate that didn't come back to bite you. And let's be real, you play a better team, it probably will come back to bite you. All right. I guess whenever you bring up either a news item or a subject on a radio show, I don't know, maybe you shouldn't qualify it by saying, hey, look, this is not going to be boring. There's always a chance it will be. I shouldn't probably have said that. Especially when it's NIL related. Okay, look, at the risk of boring you, let me just make sure you're aware of this. Apparently, the state of Mississippi amended its NIL law recently. Now, based on the information I could find, that, it's not necessarily, you can't just, like, it ain't out there. Like, you can't just Google it and find a whole bunch of reporting on this. But according to what little bit of research I've done, I think it's passed the House and the Senate, this amendment to Mississippi's NIL law. What tipped me off to it, I was looking at this guy. He's a sports agent, lawyer, whatever. He really pushes for pay the players and revenue share and all that kind of stuff. But he he posted that Nebraska, this was a couple days ago, he said the state of Nebraska joined Virginia and Mississippi in enacting a bill to amend its state NIL law. So I'm going, wait. They joined Mississippi in what? Because I didn't know Mississippi was doing anything. Then he went on to say later on in the post, he said, like the Mississippi law, Nebraska's law will allow schools, okay, so the universities, to create NIL activities, enable NIL activities, and support NIL activities. And it'll enable them to create, enable, and support third parties to pay athletes for promoting their school and for promoting their games. Now, he went on to say this will now allow Nebraska universities to enter into agreements with and to pay third parties. So you're talking about your collectives that'll then pay the athletes to promote the university, to promote the university's athletics programs, and to promote the games the athlete's going to play in. Now, he points out all of that actually contradicts NCAA rules. But again, if we're adding all this up, number one, again, according to what I can find out, Mississippi amended its NIL law. It's through the House. It's through the Senate. I didn't even know. I had no clue. Nebraska has done it. Virginia has done it. It's matched what Mississippi's doing. And now they can all do this. I'm sure they're not the only ones. But what it's been amended to is something that actually does contradict NCAA rules. But if you're looking at it from a practical standpoint, I can't help but look at it and think it is one step towards something that makes a little more sense than just saying, hey, y'all, we need some money. Y'all send us some money. If we don't have players, it's your fault. Say, okay, I think you're stepping towards something that makes a little more sense, right? One, you're going to have a collective, third-party collective, that is going to be the pay-for-play arm of your programs. And there is no question that those athletic programs, particularly football, men's basketball, in a lot of cases baseball, some cases softball, some cases women's basketball, but those major sports are hugely important to any university. They are majorly important from a marketing standpoint because the universities are in the business of education. Do you remember years ago how economic impact numbers would start to float out of the state of Alabama when Nick Saban and Alabama were on their run? And especially during the time where, like, Alabama was winning championships, and then Auburn snuck in there and won one or two and won a national championship with Cam Newton. And like these numbers came out about the economic impact of successful football, not only for the college towns, Tuscaloosa and Auburn, but really for the whole state of Alabama. And also like the enrollment numbers during Nick Saban's rise to just, the greatest coach you've ever seen, one of the more incredible dynasties in college football of winning championships you've ever seen. The enrollment numbers at Alabama shot up. Out-of-state enrollment and tuition shot up. Why? Because of the football team, the most visible part of that entire place. The football team. Rise in popularity because of winning and success, and their numbers go up. Colorado. Take Colorado, for example. Look at Colorado last year, right? They go hire Deion Sanders away from Jackson State. He brings his son in. They transfer the whole football team. Didn't win squat, just a few games, but they were automatic entertainment. They were automatically cool to watch and fun to watch and interesting to watch. And they were much better. The football team is much better. It's not like they challenged for a conference championship, but they were can't miss entertainment on television. And it was reported, Colorado's chancellor reported, Philip DiStefano, out-of-state applicants at Colorado climbed 40% from one year to the next. Merchandise sales for the University of Colorado went up 892%. It's like incredible. You don't think it's important from a marketing standpoint, you got to think coming. Anybody who has fought that over the years, whether it be a faculty member or an administrator who fought that, they found out. No. The single most important marketing avenue you have, marketing arm you have at that university is your football team. Okay, so we get it. Nobody argues that. Nor would they intelligently. And we're saying that without any fanfare, I did find reporting from like 2 months ago when someone reported that Mississippi was proposing this. It said Mississippi's amendment to its Intercollegiate Athletics Compensation Rights Act, say that 5 times fast, has been reintroduced this past January. The bill would add that a school may facilitate NIL opportunities for its athletes, and it may communicate with third parties. In other words, get rid of this idea from the NCAA that, and we can still call it a third-party collective all you want to. You know about how third-party it is? It's about 5 feet over there. It's in that office. You can call it third-party all you want. They all drinking from the same water cooler at every place in the Power 5. You know it, I know it, they know it. NCAA knows it. So propose, let's say in January. From what I can gather, it's passed right through the House and the Senate. And what it does, according to this guy, who is a lawyer who studies it, it gives Mississippi universities the ability to enter into agreements with third parties and to pay third parties so they can pay the athletes to promote the university, to promote the athletics programs, and to promote the games. It's a game changer if it is what I think it is. No more asking me for $25 a month. We can get it from the university. What do you think? Stick around.
Hi. Have you ever wished for one product that would clean and shine almost everything in your house?
Thursday, it's Cosby starting off a night of family fun. And leave it to family ties to keep the laughs coming.
Oh, no. What are we going to do?
Everything's under control.
Then on Cheers, will Norm think on a friend to get a promotion?
Yes, Stone. Yes.
And the fun continues with Night Court. Thursday.
For over half a century, dairymen have tried to capture in cans the flavor of pure, fresh milk. And now Foremost has discovered the secret with an evaporated milk that's closest by far to fresh milk itself.
Kind of hard to believe, isn't it? An evaporated milk that doesn't have that old-fashioned evaporated milk taste. But it's true, and you can prove it. You know how most evaporated milks taste in coffee. The flavor goes flat. But try Foremost. You'll see it's white, the way milk ought to look, not drab tan like other brands. And when you taste it, well, if you're anything like me, you'll never even know it isn't pure, fresh cream. You try it and see. That's Foremost, the closest thing in cans to pure, fresh milk. Remember, your family gets the most from Foremost.
Coca-Cola, come on, girl, gotta share a Coke with you. Let the feeling through. You wanna live a little bit more. That's what the taste of Coke is for. Coke is life. Everybody wants a little life. Coca-Cola, Coke is life. Everybody wants.
special moments. Times of your life you'll want to remember in pictures.
Smile, Howard. Smile.
To help make those pictures look as good as they can, make sure Kodak paper is behind them. If you don't see these words, it isn't Kodak paper. Just look for this sign when you get your pictures. Kodak paper, for a good look at the times of your life.
Gee, wasn't that fun?
Come and get it. Come and
Stop the confusion. Stop the confusion. Everybody wants to get into the act with Kellogg's Variety Pack. Buster wants the cornflakes. Pop wants a pep. Mama loves the raisin bran. Mama is hip. Sister loves Rice Krispies. And there's Uncle Jack. He loves Kellogg's shredded wheat. Kellogg's makes it fun to eat. Breakfast with Variety Pack. Okay, folks, there's your favorite individual box of cereal. Fresh from Kellogg's Variety Pack. Untouched by human hands, except your own. That don't mean you gotta eat with 'em. Each individual box comes to your FOD, fresh on delivery from Battle Creek, right to your own dish. Yeah, everybody wants to get into the act with Kellogg's Variety Pack. Yes, sir, Kellogg's Variety Pack.
Here comes the one, the delicious one. Heinz is the favorite one. There's only one ketchup with this flavor pouring on. So thick, so rich, so second to none.
Only one ketchup stands for this kind of thickness with this kind of taste. Heinz.
Heinz is the big rich one.
I love the rich, whole wheat goodness of Kellogg's Mini Wheats. But the delicious frosted side makes the rich kid in me open wide.
The nutritious shredded wheat helps keep me on my toes. But the little ballerina in me thinks the taste steals the show.
Kellogg's Mini Wheats.
He's got a menu full on the Zone 105.9 and worldwide at the Zone105.9.com.
All right, back with you. I'm Matt in the Farm Bureau Insurance Studio. Farm Bureau. Go with the home team. Y'all, to summarize, this is the way I see it from my perspective, okay? And if you will, just listen to my summary of that news on this bill, the way it's worded, okay? Just listen to my summary on it and see what you think. I have had people that know, not guessing, people that know, just flat out say. Now, I'm not talking about Mississippi State either. I'm talking about people that root for all kind of other schools. One friend of mine who, is a former player at another SEC school, just come right out and say, Matt, in this current environment of NIL, it's not really NIL, it's pay for play, and they're having to raise money from boosters and donors to have the money to pay for play. There is real donor fatigue going on all over the country, and it's not being reported on that much. Okay? In other words, the donor's going, hey, man, you tell him, like, we paid this kid and he left. 2 months later, he took our money and ran off to some other school. All right? That, and how many times you going to come back to me asking for X amount of dollars? Okay. He said, like, there's real donor fatigue. With that said, we're looking here at for example, we'll just look at our state, but we're not the only one. Virginia has done this, Nebraska, others. But this analyst, who is a lawyer and an agent, analyzed this amendment to Mississippi's NIL law like this. It will allow Mississippi universities to enter into agreements with third parties. It will allow Mississippi universities to enter into agreements and to pay third parties, that would be your collective, that they will then be able to pay the university athletes to promote the university, to promote the athletics programs, and to promote the upcoming games. What that means, if I'm reading this correctly, again, it's analyzing it, but if I'm reading it correctly, this is what it means. If I'm reading it correctly, this is what it means. If the university can, quote unquote, pay a collective to create an event, and then pay, the third party can then pay the athletes to promote games and promote the university, what that means is that amendment gives the universities the ability to creatively, from the university, through the third party, to pay the athletes. It means the university can creatively provide, quote unquote, NIL money to that collective. And we know what the collectives are doing. They're the pay for play. I'm telling you, if I'm reading that correctly, it's a whole different ball game if that's the case. It means that the people at your universities in Mississippi, again, I'm told it's through House and Senate. We'll find out. I'll do some more research. I think I'm reading it right. And it means somewhere along the way, somebody went, you know what? We're not going to sit back and watch this thing tornado all around us. And tell you what else we're not going to do in the state of Mississippi. We're not going to go back and knock on the same doors over and over again, asking these fans to pay our players. We're not doing it. We're going to find some other way. It is some kind of interesting. And in my opinion, just my opinion, it's a step closer to a business model that actually makes sense. You take a big old university for which the number one marketing arm it has is its football team and basketball team, and basically treat it that way. Treat it like it's marketing. And you create a marketing budget. And part of that marketing budget as a university is with that third party that the law now says you can work directly with to create events. And that third party paying those players. It makes a little more sense. All right. Y'all simmer on that. I'll see if I can find out any more answers between now and tomorrow. How about we go back in time just a little bit?
I don't mind. But you better promise me I'll be back in time.
All right, back in time. Here we go. What's on the list today, huh? What's on the list? On this day in 1914, 110 years ago, Babe Ruth made his pitching debut for the Baltimore Orioles. See, there's some trivia for you. If I had asked y'all, hey, who'd Babe Ruth begin his career with? You'd have said what? Red Sox. Remember the curse of the Babe? No, he started with the Baltimore Orioles. Made his pitching debut in 1914 on this day, April the 22nd. 1 year later, this day, 1915, the Yankees wore pinstripes and the hat in the ring logo for the first time. It goes all the way back to 1915. How about that? Now, closer to home and closer to this era, on this day in 1982, the Atlanta Braves ended their 13-game win streak to start the season. It was the longest streak of wins at the beginning of the season in Major League history. Won 13 straight, went to the playoffs in 82. Promptly the next few years, they stunk. But I still watched every single solitary game that WTBS put on TV in 1982 and 83 and 84 and 85 and 6 and 7 and 8 and 9 and on and on and on. In fact, you can go right now on YouTube and find an entire documentary about the 1982 season. You can watch the entire season opening game against the Padres of that 1982 season. And when I hear the voice of Ernie Johnson Sr. calling those games, man, it just does something to me. Like, it takes me back to something that you get all these weird emotions and feels. And I'll tell you, it's hit close to home. Sitting in that living room with my dad watching the TV, and he'd tell me, get up, go to the TV and turn it up. Because we didn't have a remote. And I'd go up there and turn it up. And the game would end. He said, go put it on the channel, turn it on the news. I'd go up, turn the channel manually. It really takes me back. Born on this day, August the 22nd, 1936, the late, great Glenn Campbell.
There's been a low
Wichita lineman, Gentle on My Mind, and Rhinestone Cowboy, that Glenn Campbell.
Gonna be where the lights are shining on me.
Everybody sing along.
Like a rhinestone cowboy, riding on a horse in a star-spangled rodeo.
Iconic singer, incredible guitar player. Passed away in 2017. Glenn Campbell, born on this day in 1936. If you want to laugh, go back and look at the official music video for that song, Rhinestone Cowboy. I'm going to tell you that, it's funny. And don't forget Wichita lineman either.
I am a lineman for the county, and I drive the main road.
Some of y'all singing along with that one too. Just a whole different era. But one of those guys that came through that era, late 70s, 80s, really before that, with a voice kind of like, unlike any other, just absolutely perfect.
Through the wine, and the Wichita lineman is still on the line.
All right, so what would it have been? It would have been, let me think, 88. He would have been 88 years old today. Passed away back in 2017, long illness. Let's see what Wes sent me. It's something different here, off subject with about a minute left in the show. Bulldog West texts the show, Country Please and text line. He says, Matt, on a completely different note, I went to the Dude for Sunday's afternoon game. First time back there in 20 years. He said, it is amazing to see how much it has changed. It was fantastic. Well, I tell you what, that is cool now to, some of us, Wes, we probably take for granted having been there a few times here recently, like or a lot of us, I had the opportunity to go when they were constructing the new Dude, from the old thing to the new thing. But if you've been away for 20 years, not just Duty Noble Field and Polk DeMint Stadium, but just campus, how much it has all changed. I mean, it is so, like, the roads are better, the dorms are better. They have really done a lot of improving, but particularly at baseball stadium. Anybody that goes and sees it for the first time they're like, wow, this is a college baseball stadium? Yeah, it's pretty incredible. All right, that'll wrap it up for today. I've enjoyed it. In the Bureau, the Farm Bureau Insurance Studio. For Beaver, I'm Matt. All of us here on the show. See you tomorrow. Same time, same place. See you then. See ya.